When it comes to Marvel series produced for Disney Plus, they really haven't been leaving much of an impact. Most of them are pretty forgettable, even for the hardcore Marvel fans who might just watch it once when it comes out and then forget about it entirely because, Marvel's kind of trained their audience just to consume the product and then get ready for the next product and not think about what you just watched. And it's definitely not making their money back. Some of them are actually losing quite a bit of money, like Secret Invasion, for instance. They spent a couple $100 million on that, and they definitely didn't win their money back on that one. But it looks like in the future, they're trying to actually change course and really want to be profitable with their projects. One of their big ones is the upcoming Daredevil Born Again, which is supposed to come out sometime early next year. And I think this is one of those projects that they really want to spend a little bit more effort on because Daredevil was a pretty popular series when it was on Netflix. Now, keep in mind that wasn't necessarily produced by Marvel Studios. It was still kind of a part of the MCU, but it was really its own entity, which is why a lot of those Netflix series were tonally very different from anything in the MCU up to that point, and pretty much anything that we've seen since then. Last fall, it was reported that Kevin Feige saw the first half of the upcoming Daredevil Born Again and decided to scrap it, bringing in a new directing team and new writers in order to essentially start over because it wasn't good. And they really want to take a little bit more effort in order to make sure this one works, because if you can't even capture something right when you have a pretty good blueprint for what was on Netflix, well, then there's really just no hope for you. But it looks like there's some good news coming out from Marvel about this, because now it's being reported that it's going to be renewed for a second season, or they're already planning on shooting the second season before the first one even comes out, which pretty much indicates that they have a lot of faith that this one is either going to succeed or they're going to continue on with it regardless of whether it succeeds or it's a failure. When Marvel Studios first announced Daredevil Born Again, it was an 18-episode series. However, those plans seemingly changed even before the creative overhaul, with the revival split into 2 9-episode seasons. So it's not entirely that they're making 2 seasons. It's kind of like they're shooting 1 season and then releasing it at 2 separate times. That's kind of a normal thing, but the way they're producing this show, it's more akin to shooting 2 separate seasons versus shooting 1 season and then splitting it up into 2 releases. Given how many changes the show has been through and how costly they likely were, there has been concerns among fans that Disney streaming cutbacks could drastically shorten Daredevil Born Again. Well, according to scooper Daniel Richmond, the plan is for season 2 to begin shooting this fall, with work continuing until mid-2025. If this is correct, Marvel Studios must be confident in the show's chances of success, as the current plan is for Daredevil Born Again to premiere on Disney Plus next March. However, we'd imagine this means there's a risk of major spoilers for season 1 doing the rounds once the cast is spotted back on set for season 2. Yeah, I can see the concern about being spoiled on season 1 because season 2 is being shot before season 1 even premiered, but I think if you're going to be spoiled for season 1, you're most likely going to get spoilers through insiders and other leaks like that versus set photos that are leaked out from the set of season 2, because there's really not a whole lot that you can learn from that, but that's just what I think. In an interview that was talking about Daredevil Born Again, Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox were asked about what's kind of changed about Daredevil Born Again and why they basically scrapped the first half of it only to start over. And when discussing certain characters that are going to be in Daredevil Born Again, this is what they had to say. It originally wasn't going to be at all, but now it's a lot. Vincent D'Onofrio recently said of how Daredevil and Daredevil Born Again linked up. Charlie Cox chimed in to say there's a lot of them, presumably meaning Foggy Nelson, Karen Page, Bullseye, and the Punisher, were MIA in the previous iteration of Born Again. As for what led to the change, Cox said, I think it's the fans. I think it's the studio as well. And I don't think it's any coincidence that Kevin Feige scrapped the first half of Daredevil Born Again, the first iteration of it, and started over fresh after people saw Daredevil and She-Hulk Attorney at Law, because infamously people hated how they were portraying the character, and obviously they just hated that show entirely. So after we saw the reception to that, that's when Marvel kind of turned around and be like, okay, we need to change this quick, because obviously what we're planning right now isn't going to go over with fans as well. So when people say fan backlash doesn't actually have an impact on the studio, well, they're dead wrong, because we've seen time and time again that if the studio is willing to listen to the fans, then they will change course. It's just a matter of whether that's enough to actually fix what they were already starting. That's a really fine balance to strike, he added. If you're going to remake a show and call it season 1 and it was a successful show and it was kind of beloved, then you've got to do what people liked, but also you've got to have a reason for remaking it. So you have to change it up a bit, and that's just a really fine balance to find. Charlie Cox then goes on to say he thinks they did a beautiful job with the way they're actually remaking this. So we'll just have to wait and see. But obviously, of course, as the star of the show, he kind of has to say that. Me personally, though, Marvel hasn't really done anything in the last couple of years to kind of ingratiate themselves with me, because even though they're trying to change course on this, I don't think they're going to have the potential to actually pull this off. Even if I think they wanted to and they're trying to do their best, I just don't really have faith in the current state of Marvel right now, because the people that they have there really haven't earned that, in my opinion. I think what they need to do is actually have something successful in order for me to come back. But I could be wrong about this, because I really like House of the Dragon, and I pretty much went into first season and not thinking it was going to be crap because of the way Game of Thrones ended. And I was pleasantly surprised, and I really liked the show, and I was looking forward to season 2. And so far I'm enjoying season 2. It's a bit of a slow burn, but I can see that they're building up to something, and I'm excited to see what they're going to deliver on that. When it comes to Daredevil Born Again, even bringing in some of these characters in the current state of the MCU, like when they had Daredevil and She-Hulk, or when they had Kingpin and Echo, or in Hawkeye, I really didn't care for how they were handling their characters, because even though they're the same actors and they're the same character from the Netflix series, it really doesn't feel like the same thing to me. And I'm thinking I'm going to get more of that with Daredevil Born Again, but who knows? If the show comes out and it's successful, then I will tell you that I think it's good. But right now, I really don't have any faith in it. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Do you think the show has potential since they're willing to start over and try to make something better? Or do you think it's just going to be current day Marvel stuff and just something that you watch and then you just forget about it entirely, if you actually watch it? And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button, share the video out there, because it helps out with the channel. Thank you.